Hi there guys, I hope you have had a good day. So Anthony Joshua put out some training footage of him throwing an uppercut and a hook, and of course Tyson Fury has responded and reacted to that. He just put on his Instagram story, OMG, this powerhouse. So obviously that is mocking Anthony Joshua in some way. It's not exactly sincere, it's going to be probably sarcastic, but ultimately Tyson Fury has come back straight away after Anthony Joshua has put out some footage of him training. Now, many were saying in comments that Anthony Joshua looks slow, he's overreaching with those punches, and you can expect to land those kind of punches in fights. And Anthony Joshua is not expecting to land that kind of punch in a fight. He's on the pads, it's a drill. He's never going to throw something like that in the fight. His punches will be a lot shorter, especially if it's on the inside, but punches will be reached out with if he is boxing Pulev at range. So it looks like Anthony Joshua is maybe overreaching or extending too much with those punches. Again, it's a drill on the pads. It's not necessarily supposed to be punches that he's looking to land on Kubrat Pulev. Now, of course, there are punches similar to that he can throw to catch Kubrat Pulev, especially when he comes in, when Pulev is a victim of coming over his front foot, and that's never a good thing, especially with someone who can punch as hard as Anthony Joshua and knows how to walk him on to those kind of punches. That uppercut that he throws, where he reaches with it, the hook as well, he could turn that into a check hook and Pulev would walk right onto it. Obviously, Anthony Joshua is doing these drills as a part of his training, not necessarily as a part of his game plan to take apart Kubrat Pulev. It's just training at the end of the day. I'm sure that Tyson Fury is getting ready for Deontay Wilder and probably not doing similar kinds of training, but doing his own kind of training. Everyone looks different in training compared to when they get into the ring and actually fight their opponent. I mean, we've seen footage of many fighters before, and of course it's a different circumstance. I mean, you got someone there holding pads rather than someone trying to hit you in the head. It's very different. I mean, obviously it's going to be being in the ring with someone who's actually fighting and being in there with someone doing a drill, like Anthony Joshua was doing, getting ready for training camp against Kubrat Pulev, because we do know that that fight is likely to happen on December 12th. It has almost been confirmed by Eddie Hearn. Not announced just yet, but it seems like that is when the fight will go ahead. So we have a date, and I'm guessing it's going to be at the O2. That is all sorted. So Anthony Joshua will be ramping up his training in preparations for Kubrat Pulev. And what is interesting is Anthony Joshua is fighting Pulev, Tyson Fury is fighting Deontay Wilder, yet Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury seem to be having this almost back and forth. There is no direct dialogue, but I mean, it seems like Anthony Joshua says some things about Tyson Fury. Then after that's done, Tyson Fury comes back and says things about Anthony Joshua. I mean, they don't have any reaction to what the other one has said. They just start with a new kind of way to put the other down in some weird way. So that's kind of strange, and ultimately they are not fighting one another next, but you can see they would like to be fighting one another next instead of their next respected fights. Anthony Joshua wants undisputed. Tyson Fury doesn't necessarily want undisputed, but he does want to fight Anthony Joshua, because that has been made clear. Anthony Joshua wants to unify all of the belts. He wants that WBC World title and the Ring Magazine World title. He wants those titles so he can be considered as undisputed, #1 in the heavyweight division. No disputes as to who is the world champion in that division, the best in the heavyweight division. So he wants that status. Tyson Fury doesn't really want that, although he does, but he already believes he's that guy anyway. So he's not bothered about the belts because he believes he's already won them, while he hasn't held them all at the same time and unified them together. He doesn't care about the belts, especially the IBF, but ultimately he doesn't care whether he wins those belts off of Anthony Joshua or whether there is 1 or 2 belts missing from Anthony Joshua's collection when they go into that fight to see who is #1. There is one positive, of course, that we can take from this, and that is they both want the fight. They both are talking about one another, and I think it's clear to see they both would rather be fighting one another next as opposed to their next fight. So that is positive that they both want it, and there are no other fights out there that they are more interested in than undisputed, even though they likely have 2 fights each before that undisputed fight, because Anthony Joshua definitely has 2 mandatories, and unless he can get out of that Alexander Usyk fight, then he'll be fighting Alexander Usyk in June, July 2021. Pulev in December. That's his mandatories sorted and dealt with. Maybe there could be a WBA mandatory coming after that. Whereas Tyson Fury has Deontay Wilder in December. Then the winner of Alexander Povetkin versus Dillian Whyte provided that WBC mandatory is called in 2021. So maybe he fights the winner of Povetkin and White in June or July 2021. Then Undisputed can probably, hopefully, happen in December 2021, which does of course mean that this fight is over a year away. So both fighters do want to be talking about one another now. Obviously, Anthony Joshua did lay into Tyson Fury, or have a lot of things to say about Tyson Fury quite recently, about his dress sense, about all of these things, about fighting style, and that Tyson Fury isn't even going to be the best opponent he has been in the ring with before. So AJ has said all of these things. Now Tyson Fury is having his turn at saying stuff about Anthony Joshua, I would imagine. But, I mean, as I've said previously, they're not fighting one another next, but you can see they would like to be. So that is positive in one way, that they both want the fight, but ultimately they need to focus on their next fights. Pulev, I mean, it's not going to be the most difficult fight for Anthony Joshua, but still, he represents some challenges for Anthony Joshua to overcome. This is the last chance for Pulev, so he's going to try and seize it with both hands, and having Anthony Joshua focused on a Tyson Fury fight as opposed to this one would be like the golden ticket for Kubrat Pulev. Same thing for Deontay Wilder. He needs Tyson Fury to not be focused on him, because if he is, then we've seen what happens when Tyson Fury is 100% focused on Deontay Wilder. 22nd of February tells you all you need to know. Maybe that's why Deontay Wilder isn't talking. Maybe that's why he's being quiet, because he doesn't want Tyson Fury to be really that bothered about this third fight. Maybe he thinks that if he stays quiet, Tyson Fury won't come back at him whenever he posts something, because Tyson Fury is always there waiting to react to what Deontay Wilder is doing. Maybe Tyson Fury needs that, and Deontay Wilder is not providing that opportunity to Tyson Fury to get inside his head, to find some mental fuel, because Tyson Fury at the moment is fighting Deontay Wilder, but Wilder's not there for Tyson Fury to goad at the moment. And Anthony Joshua is, so maybe Tyson Fury is using Anthony Joshua as some kind of fuel to fuel his motivation for Deontay Wilder. Who cares if that's what he's doing? I mean, as long as he beats Deontay Wilder, as long as we move on from that finally, then I'm not really that bothered. I mean, he needs to move on now, because the best had trilogies, but the best warranted having trilogies. Tyson Fury is clearly better than Deontay Wilder, and while Wilder does deserve his next opportunity because it was in the contract, so he gave Fury that opportunity on the 22nd of February, and ultimately he gets a rematch because he lost. So that rematch has to happen. But I think we'd all like us to move on from Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury now, and hopefully that chapter is closed on December 19th. And then we can move on to an Anthony Joshua fight between him and Tyson Fury. Hopefully that finally happens next year. So guys, anyway, what are your thoughts on this? Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below, leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you are new. Thanks guys.